10 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started because we've got limited time. So good morning. On behalf of CFLP Solid Waste District and each of our counties, Coshocton, Fairfield, Licking, and Perry, we would like to thank you for zooming in with us today. We do have limited time in this session, but I do want to take a quick minute to just introduce ourselves and who we're with. I think we all know each other, but we'll just go around real quick. I'm Jennifer Colometz. I'm with Lancaster Fairfield Community Action Recycling Center. Haley, you want to go?
Yeah, I'm Haley Undercater at Perry County.
Go ahead, Andrea.
Hi, I am Andrea Krava from Licking County Recycling, and we have used Columbus Micro, where Jake is representing today, just recently with our electronics collection, and we will be working together for a television collection very soon too. And Kate, you want to say anything, Kate?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
But you can't see me, right?
No, is that a good thing?
Maybe. I'm Kate. I'm the assistant director with the CFLP Solid Waste District, and Kim is headed to her office right now.
All right, I will skip Jake because he's going to be talking in a minute. So I just want to say we're thankful to have Jake Boyd with us today. He's the project manager for Columbus Microsystems. He started out as a computer science intern in January of 2020. He graduated from Capital University and accepted a full-time position in 2022 with Columbus Micro due to his growing passion for the sustainability role. Columbus Microsystems has a rich history spanning for over 35 years since they were established in 1988. They specialize in IT recycling, IT hardware, managing services, which includes proactive monitoring, maintenance, and support of IT infrastructures. All electronic waste is in compliance with Ohio EPA regulations, and the company holds an R2 recycling certification, which I'm sure Jake will probably share more with you about. Fun fact, in 2024, they recycled over 15,000 PCs, which is pretty impressive to keep those out of the landfills. And just to throw in a note so I don't forget at the end, next Tuesday, November 4th from 3 to 6, Jake and his team will be here. We are holding a electronic collection and shred day at the Lancaster Fairfield Community Action Recycling Center. It is for Fairfield County, but we will accept from other counties, especially our partners counties. So I will let you go, Jake.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for taking the time today and thank you for letting me speak, especially on everything in terms of just electronic recycling, go in depth of what it is, what it entails, kind of what Columbus Micro entails, what we do, how we try to help the community as well. Jennifer, thank you. Yeah, we've been in business since 1988. We are a family-owned business and a minority-owned business as well. Right now, the son of the founder is heading up the company. His name is Zagreus Guarizada. Right now, he joined in 2019, and since then, yeah, we've gained that R2V3 electronic recycling certificate. And I'll just go in more in detail of that later, essentially. And it's a big certificate in terms of electronic recycling, and I'll be going over how we process materials. Every R2 facility does it a little bit differently. We all have the same standards. But in terms of like what information we process, what's important to our customers, that's kind of like a big thing that's really important to us essentially. And yeah, we'll be in Lancaster next Tuesday to do a mobile collection event. That's something that's new that we've been really doing in the past few years or so. We have been the official electronic recycler for SWACO, the Solid Waste Authority of Central Ohio, since 2020. We just did that contract this past year, and that includes mobile collection events. So we're excited to be able to this year. We really started doing the mobile collection events for communities. For Earth Day especially. And for Earth Day, we did about over 60,000 pounds of electronics from different mobile collection events in span of about a month or so, which is fantastic because before we really focus on the business model. And of course, we still have that. But being able to help the community as well, being able to, as electronic recycling becomes more important, and more aware essentially to the community as electronics become more prominent in our society, essentially is very important to have a proper response to how to deal with electronics and how to properly recycle them, where to take them, whether that's to Columbus Micro, whether that's to another facility as well, as there are multiple R2 facilities in Ohio, essentially. It's very important that no matter what happens to them, that they are recycled responsibly. We all have the same goal, the same end state for these electronics to make sure that they're recycled properly at that point. So yeah, Jennifer, you said that you were going to share the slides, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sorry, you're muted at the moment. I can't.
Sorry, I'm talking to myself. It should be
You're
set
okay.
up so you can share.
Should be set up.
It says it's on multiple participants can share.
Gotcha. All right. See if I can do that. All right. It is letting me. It's going to have me restart my browser. So I'll be right back with that. If you don't mind, I apologize for
No,
that.
you're fine. In the meantime, we had Kim join us. Kim, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Kim Masters. I am the director at the Coshocton Fairfield Licking Perry Solid Waste District.
And we also had two other people join us, if you want to introduce yourself.
Okay, where am I at?
Is this Nick?
Yes, hold on. Yes.
Hi, Nick. Where are you from?
Yeah, good morning. So I'm with Diamond Power International. I've been here since April.
Okay,
And yeah, sorry for the delay. I thought I had everything in, but I did not. So
you're fine. I'm just writing down your information, so I have that.
yeah, so I've been here since April, and people forwarded some information to me. I just wanted to see what this is.
Yeah,
Just kind of introduce myself. Thank
nice
you.
to meet you. In a minute, Jake's going to share his screen. He's with Columbus Micro. I did a little introduction. Next Tuesday, we have an electronics and shred event here at the Lancaster Fairfield Community Action Recycling Center from 3 to 6, where residents can bring in electronics and have up to 2 boxes of material shredded. So he is the representative from there. So he's going to talk a little bit about what they do for recycling with electronics. So we also have another gentleman that joined. Sorry, I don't know what your first name is.
Hi, I'm Kevin Freeman. I'm the IT manager at the Fairfield County District Library.
Thank you for joining in. All right, we good, Jake?
Yep. Apologize about that. I'm running on a Mac and all sorts of permissions are fantastic. Can everyone see my screen all right?
Yes.
Perfect. Let me go back. All right. So yeah. So thank you, Jennifer, again for letting me kind of go over Columbus Micro, what we do. I'm the project manager for IT recycling specifically. We do have 3 different verticals I'll go over. So I won't use this more of like an advertisement for Columbus Micro in a sense, but I really want to dive into like IT recycling and what that entails as well. So yeah, as I said, we were founded in 1988 by our founder, Beiruz. We really focus on IT hardware. From there, we actually made the floppy disks for Michael Dell before he started his big company that you all know very well of being Dell. So we sold him all that hard disk, and basically our founder was he looked around. It's like, we're selling these computers, and then when they eventually die out, when they're not compatible with anything, they just set them out on the curb. And what happens to those computers after that? What do they do with the gold, the neodymium, the everything that else that's inside it, like the rare earth metals inside the motherboards and the plastics and metals? What happens to that? So that's when, about 2005, we opened up the IT recycling firm. This is before R2 existed really. There's e-stewards, there's ISO that's kind of up in the air essentially of the certificate. So they basically just did IT recycling and just, did the proper way, did in accordance to, proper EPA regulations and everything like that. But it wasn't really until 2020 when we gained the R2 certificate for IT recycling. R2 essentially is it stands for recycling responsibly. There's two big halves of it. R2, one half of it is, of course, recycling responsibly in terms of items don't end up in a landfill, they don't end up overseas, they don't end up in burn pits, no child labor, no prison labor, basically zero landfill policy on that front, making sure everything is recycled responsibly. And when we say recycled, it really goes into two avenues in the sense of, yes, it can go into the whole breakdown, recycle it, you take the plastics, you mold it into something, you take the rare earth metals from the motherboards, the gold, the fiberglass, everything else as well. From the motherboards, the circuitry, we have a cable granulator on site. So what that does is it takes cables and it takes it from it. We put in the cables into the machine. It separates the plastic from the copper, so we're able to send the copper back to a refinery. So that's one part. But the other part that people don't think about as well is refurbishing and trying to find a second life out of a machine. So if a laptop, for example, was recycled, we could, say the screen was broken, we could replace the screen and we could put in a new hard drive. We can do, upgrade it a little bit and be able to sell it as a second use at a much discounted price because it's not in a new condition anymore. And we've been doing that since 2005, and since of that refurbished recycling model, a lot of recyclers do that as well, just to find that second life. We just launched with Smart Columbus. They're a nonprofit in Columbus, and essentially what we do for them is we have a company who donates, say, laptops, for example. We'll go through them, we'll refurbish them, and we'll donate them back into the Central Ohio region to people who are in need. So we did a pilot run earlier this year with Chemical Abstract Service. They donated about 300 laptops. Out of those laptops, we're able to refurbish and find a new life for about 60 of them, and those 60 went out to a refugee immigration service, essentially for people coming to America. And right now, especially, you need to be able to have a device that can help you find a job, help you pay your bills, that sort of thing. And that's what those devices went to, for example. So that's a really big, idea that we have of finding a second life for a lot of these machines. And that doesn't entail just laptops, desktop. That goes for pretty much everything. We accept all electronics except for kitchen appliances. So we see a wide range of electronics. I've seen everything come through our doors from the past 5 years. In 2022, we gained our R2V3 certification. So what's different from the R2 and R2V3 is just the next step, essentially. Anything that's just R2V3 is just, it has that next level of reporting. It has the next level of data erasure, ensuring that we go through audits properly. We go through a yearly audit. Essentially, ours is actually coming up this upcoming month. And that audit basically entails going through all the lot reports, the weight reports, the data erasure reports, essentially from there. And so I was talking about the one half is the recycle and refurbish, but the other half is data erasure. So data erasure is obviously super important, especially with mobile collection events. We find, of course, people with their own personal data just throwing a laptop in a Gaylord. What happens to that data? I can go into it a little bit more detail, but the other half of it is that data erasure. That's obviously super important. And we do, of course, that yearly audit, that third-party audit, but we do inside audits every single week to make sure that data is properly secured as well. And then in 2023, we opened up our third branch of the company. That's our IT managed services branch. That's essentially we are an IT department for a company or an organization that does not have an IT department, essentially. So our verticals, like I said, so we had the IT recycling, IT hardware, and IT managed services. Our idea, essentially, we're not looking at opening any verticals because this kind of closes the loop in terms of electronics, a life cycle. Essentially, you can buy IT hardware from us, you can have it managed by us, and have cybersecurity on it from us. And then when it's dead, it's not compatible. For example, Windows 10 just lost support this past couple of weeks, so we're seeing a lot of Windows 10 devices come through our doors. So you're able to recycle those, gain a credit for those, and use that credit to essentially buy new IT hardware or even buy a refurbished hardware as well. So IT recycling. So yeah, so we're R2V3 electronic recycling. Again, it goes over the no landfills, secure data erasure on site, and accountability and transparency. So with the secure data erasure on site, for example, so our process is when you receive an item, we receive a pickup, for example. So let's use, Licking County. We just did their mobile collection event. So we do their event. We bring all the material over. They receive a release of liability, basically going over and like, hey, we have your material. It's under 24/7 camera surveillance, property. Everything's locked up and everything like that. We'll go through a big triage of data carrying and non-data carrying. I'll show examples of the reports that would be received essentially. But the lot reports is like the make, model, the serial number of device that we receive. We also have a parent-child relationship of any hard drives that we find in a device that gets scanned in with the serial number under the device that it came in with. So we can kind of pair those together. We work with a lot of different IT companies, a lot of government entities, and it's very important that they have their own records for their own auditing purposes. And with that data erasure, basically our process is once that gets scanned in, the hard drive gets immediately removed. Everything's labeled throughout an internal like ID tracking system that we have at the company, and it goes to our secure data erasure center, and which is in our office. It's actually it's keypad locked. Only about 4 or 5 employees at the company have access to that data erasure room, and they go through a logical wipe depending on if the drive is if it's healthy, if it's under 90% health. If it fails the erasure in any sort of capacity, it gets physically destroyed. Otherwise, it gets a logical wipe, which is like through a software, through a server, essentially, that does that wipe. It's all the standards are up to date with Department of Defense level standards. It's called NIST 888. And we use that data erasure to basically just go over all the data that is possibly in a hard drive. And like I said, we do weekly audits, essentially, of making sure that data is erased. And that's why, especially with the mobile collection events as well, because people are dropping off their own laptops and desktops and such, and their data is super important to them, and we totally understand that. So allowing our staff is always fully trained. We have trainings at least every 6 months going over all this information so they can answer questions or anything like that that kind of go hand in hand with the data erasure as well. So with IT recycling, again, the administrative process, again, every R2 facility kind of does a little bit differently. We all have our own, the standards that we have to meet. Sometimes, we all have to have some sort of level of reporting, but it kind of depends on, who likes to do what. So we try to go up and beyond, especially for our clients of, what they get in return for IT recycling. So basically what happens with us, you can schedule a pickup, you get, like I said, the release of liability. You'll receive that lot report and a certificate of destruction for all the drives, just letting you know that all the drives are erased. This past August, we actually just launched a client portal. So myself and another project manager, we've been working all year essentially on a client portal that allows anyone to log in, see their organization's information on upcoming pickups, their year-to-date weight summary, all of their lot reports or certificate destructions, their everything else essentially is kind of in one centralized place as well. So this is what our scan and report essentially looks like. So you get all sorts of information. So you have like your customer tracking method. The formatting type is the erasure. The pickup date, pickup ID, that was the ID tracking system that I mentioned that we use from basically once we receive it until it's recycled or refurbished. That is the ID that we use. We track TVs essentially. I'll go over why we do that in a little bit. But this is kind of what it looks like in terms of the manufacturer. This is the level of granular detail that we have. And when we do a hiring process, when we have technicians, because it's not just like warehouse people that we have of just hauling material to and from, but they're also very technically sound. We normally everyone that we hire has some sort of tech certificates. And we also at Columbus Micro offer the ability to gain more tech certificates at the company's expense. Essentially, every employee has a $2,000 per year credit essentially to join a class, get another tech certificate to either further their knowledge on something or use it for their next step in their IT career. So accepted materials again. So anything potentially data carrying and all miscellaneous electronics are free to recycle. We try to keep everything free to recycle as it, like I said, it's very important for materials to be just recycled, especially electronics at that point. So we don't want to create any barriers that we have to. televisions, we have different fees. The reason why we have fees for the flat screen TVs is because of the labor that really goes into flat screen television recycling. For some reason, televisions just have 50 different types of screws. The material that's actually inside TVs is just not valuable whatsoever. So it just kind of offsets labor costs at that point. And then CRTs, we actually don't process CRTs in our facility as well. The CRTs, because of the lead in the glass and the cathode ray tubes inside, we had to have like a whole FDA regulation thing. So we work with an R2 facility down in Cincinnati. And that kind of goes in hand in hand of any materials that we do not process in-house at Columbus Micro, we will send to another R2 facility as well, who does that, specific processing. That goes hand in hand with the auditing process. So when we go through the auditing process, we have to show who we send material to. Are they R2 certified? Then we also have to take the next step of who are they sending material to, and are they R2 certified as well? So it's a whole chain of custody, whole extravaganza essentially at that point. Batteries, we do have, so like lithium ion, like the cell phone batteries, that sort of thing, don't have a cost, but your normal AAA, AA do have a cost due to the complications of having to recycle them. I believe for the mobile collection vents, we don't charge for batteries, so that's kind of more on like a singular basis. But yeah, and like I said, certain working devices do gain an in-house credit. We try to use that credit to entice people to, offset any costs for televisions, offset any, pickup fees that we might have for, non-mobile collection events, because we don't charge pickup fees for those, and anything like that. That's kind of what we look at so far. So I'm going to go ahead and skip IT hardware and IT managed services, because that's not really, what we're talking about today, and that's just other parts of the company. But essentially with IT recycling, it's just super important that we look for solutions for those. Electronics are only about 2% of the landfill, but they are 70% of toxic materials in the landfill, which is just a huge difference in terms of just volume of how much it affects, because it can take decades to a million years for electronics to be recycled. And with rare earth metals inside the motherboards, essentially it helps lower the cost of IT recycling of newer materials, as well as the rare earth metals in motherboards. They can be extracted from motherboards, from old ones, to create new ones, or you can find that same material in the bottom of the ocean next to Japan. So it's two very, obviously they're both not very easy, but one's a little bit easier than the other. And that's what we really try to focus on, and trying to find a goal. And a lot of R2 facilities, where I want to view us as, competitors or anything. Like I said, there's a lot of different R2 facilities in Ohio, but we all have that same goal. And we actually do work together. There's a lot of conferences that we have and everything, of finding a solution for IT recycling. We're finding a lot more facilities are just doing more sustainability efforts on that, which is fantastic. Like I said, we had a over 100% increase from last year's Earth Day to this year's Earth Day. And a lot of different companies as well just opting into that. We've had new hospital networks join in on the IT recycling process. City governments, a lot of these, of course, are requiring that R2 certificate because of ensuring that nothing ends up in the landfill, ensuring data is erased, everything like that. But yeah, that's essentially the entire IT recycling field. Jennifer, I don't know if we had time for questions or anything like that, but I'd be happy to answer anything and everything that anyone might have.
Yeah, we do have time for some questions. I just wanted to add in that I learned something. Like I said, this is will be our second time working with Columbus Micro, and if anybody is looking for anything, Jake has been nothing but professional to work with. In good communications. His team has come in the first time, and I expect nothing less on Tuesday. Handled everything great. We've never advertised taking batteries at our collections. I'm not going to throw anything into it this mix, but I will talk to you about that in the future. We do get a grant each year, or we have been able to take batteries at our facility. So it's not a real big deal, but we're always looking for ways to make that grant money for the battery program go farther. So,
Yeah, with batteries, essentially with that, that's more of it's like kind of a added on tack on sort of thing. That's mainly if you're only recycling batteries. So if you have a lot of other stuff, then it just offsets and we don't even worry about it. It's not in like the mobile collection proposal that we have. It's
Yeah.
not even a line item for it. It's just the TVs essentially. But sometimes people come in with, 50 pounds of AA batteries, and that's something that we kind of had to have discussions about. But with mobile collection vans, normal pickups, we don't charge for batteries at that point. It's just more of like if that's the only thing that's
Yeah.
being recycled.
When you collect batteries at events like that, do you have requirements for like things taped off or anything like that, how you receive them?
Yeah, so essentially, it kind of depends on the battery it is. The most important one that we're looking for in terms of making sure it is packed properly are lithium ion batteries because they are very dangerous, essentially. We work with the city of Columbus and they budget for about 6 or 7 trash trucks a year due to lithium ion being thrown in the trash and being crushed by their trucks. So with lithium ion batteries, these are batteries that come from your laptops, your cell phones. They normally just have a label on them that says like Li-ion. Depending on, there's 2 different types. There are hard cased ones, which and soft shell. So hard case, obviously, you tap on it, it has a plastic shell around it. For those ones, we just tape the terminals on them as long as they're not bloated, and that's pretty much all you have to do with those. If it's soft shell, you tape the terminals and you bag them in like a polymer bag. Um, if it is bloated in any sorts of way, so temperature, it's old, whatever, it looks like it's a balloon essentially instead of flat like it's supposed to be, then we'll tape the terminals and we'll double bag them and then we'll label them with a defective lithium ion battery sticker. And what we have essentially is what we use for defective lithium ion batteries is we have a 50-gallon barrel that we use and then vermiculite. Vermiculite's kind of like a hamster padding feel to it essentially, and we just use that to layer the battery so they don't touch each other. Even though they're double bagged and terminals taped, you don't want to take any chances because as soon as those terminals hit each other, then you have a lithium ion fire, and that's almost impossible to put out. You kind of have to just wait for it to go out on its own.
Yeah. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions?
Jake, if you guys want to reach out to us at Diamond Power, we do recycle a lot of the computer equipment here, but if you guys want to reach out and we can kind of discuss and maybe we could do some business. So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we have 10 minutes left, so we still have time for questions if anybody else has any other questions.
Jenny, do you want me to talk a little bit about my and Jake's TV collection coming up in January?
Sure.
So as I mentioned earlier, and just like Jenny's doing here soon, with Licking County, we just recently did a shred day and electronics collection day with Columbus Micro that Jake and I worked on together. And we knew that day they were only going to be able to have 1 truck available for us. And last year when we did it with a different company, we collected about 1.5 trucks worth of materials for our event. So we had some decisions to make this year and decided to have Columbus Micro just send us 1 truck, and we were not going to take televisions. And that helped us too, because televisions, as Jake had mentioned earlier, do cost. And for whatever reason at our event, our people did not seem to understand how to stay in the line and just move over if they had a payment for the TVs, because then it seemed like everybody who was behind them would follow them. And it got really super confusing, and we managed, but it was just a little confusing. So for us, it worked really well to not actually take TVs at that event. And it saved us because we filled that truck that Columbus Micro provided to the fact, I don't know, Jake, I don't know if anybody ever showed you pictures, but the guys that were there could barely even close the back of the truck. They had it open like a little tiny bit and they had to tie it down because it was so full. So we made the right decision, and it went very smooth, not having to deal with the money collection that day. So we decided, because I knew that people were still going to ask about TVs, we decided to go ahead and do a TV only collection for about 1.5 weeks in January. Of course, right after the holidays, right after Black Friday, after everybody's buying their televisions. And then we are going to be doing it just during our pretty much regular office hours. So none of us are going to have to stand outside in the cold to do it or anything. Jake and his people are going to be bringing a whole bunch of boxes and pallets and wraps and all sorts of things. We have a huge garage here at our office at Licking County Recycling. So people will be able to literally just back right up into the garage. We'll pull everything off of their vehicle or out of their vehicles and package it up for Columbus Micro to come and pick up in about a week and a half. And then they're going to take it from there. We are going to be, my staff and I are going to be taking the money, and then we'll work that out with Columbus Micro, how that we get invoiced and everything for it. So I think we're all, I mean, Jake was like, wow, this is a cool idea. Let's try this. So this is all something new for both of us, and we're pretty excited to give it a try just to see how it goes. We may be overwhelmed with TVs, we may not, we don't know, but it's not really putting any of us out too much other than because we'll just be here at our regular hours. We are staying open late 2 nights for like an hour or two. Since we close at 4:30, we thought we'd give people a little bit of time to come late. And there's a Saturday that I usually have to be here anyway for an elected officials. I'm not an elected official, but I work with the elected officials, an elected official meeting on a Saturday in January. And I thought, well, if I have to be here in town anyway, we'll open up the office that afternoon too. So we'll have just a couple hours on one Saturday and then mostly office hours plus a couple late nights. So we're really excited to try it. I was thrilled that Jake was really open and excited about the idea. So we'll have to report back and let everybody know how it goes. And I think it'll work really well for my purposes. You know, it may not work for other offices or other departments or whatnot, but I think it's going to work really well here. So we already have a Facebook event out for it, and we've gotten almost 40 responses already in just about a week, and we'll be advertising it a lot. And we are doing a couple of radio ads. We usually do radio ads for Christmas, and we're going to focus on the TV collection this time around. So we've got those starting. They're in December sometime. So we're excited about giving that a try.
I think the key is that we're offering stuff to the counties.
Yep.
That's our goal for all 4 of our counties, is that we're offering some way for the residents to get to dispose properly and recycle whatever we can. Your guys' setup is a little different than ours. It works because we have the drive-through facility here, so we can be inside, weather isn't a factor. We have a good pull-off area, and the same thing happened with us last time. We filled the truck, and I think we left like 3 or 4 pallets of things here. We have a storage area that we just put those in until they came back a couple days later. So, I think it's just key that Columbus Micro, they're willing to work with us, see what's the best fit. We do ours on a weeknight. So we do it from 3 to 6 because I don't really want to come in on an extra Saturday if I don't want to, or if I don't have to. And we've had, the first time we did that with another company, they questioned, like, is it going to be busy? We've had really good success with the events that we've had. So, we're going to stick with that. It is, election voting day next Tuesday when we do it. So we're just encouraging people to bring your electronics when you vote and then stop by and drop them off. The first 20 to 30 minutes, there's usually a handful of cars, 8 to 10 cars out there, but we move people through very quickly. So does anybody else have any other questions? All right, I'm going to let Haley wrap it up for us.
Yeah, so if you weren't here when I introduced myself earlier, I'm Haley. I'm with Perry County as the educator. And just real quick, as your businesses start to look at recycling or going green in any way, I don't want you to think that it's daunting and that it's stressful. You can start small by, just having recycling bins in the office, in the break room. We have quite a few businesses that bring us their cardboard, and they've reduced how many times their dumpsters have to get pulled throughout the week. So instead of weekly, they might go bi-weekly, which has saved them a lot of money just by bringing us just cardboard. And then as Halloween is almost over and we're going to be heading into winter, unfortunately, if you've got pumpkins, you know, at your businesses, your offices, instead of throwing those in your trash can, sending them to the landfill where they won't really get to decompose as well. If you don't have a compost place close to you, a lot of farms look forward to getting people's pumpkins. They're great for chickens and goats and other livestock that enjoy eating those. They have a lot of vitamins that are really good for them. And same with your leaves. I know we always try to encourage to leave your leaves, but it's not always possible. They kind of get in the way sometimes. So if you need to dispose of your leaves in any way, instead of, again, putting them in your trash that's going to go to the landfill, there's a lot of mulch companies that, you know, use yard waste to turn into mulch. They will gladly take your leaves, reach out to them. Sometimes they have deals, you know, to buy mulch if you drop stuff off. And then when you go to recycle or start these habits for your business, having multiple people in charge of it is always best. I've seen where a business has had one person that's solely in charge of their recycling or their green habits. And then when that person leaves or retires, the recycling stops because nobody else knows what they're supposed to do, what goes in the recycling, where they're supposed to take it. So if you have a team of people, that will ensure whatever changes you make for your business will continue even after those original people were to leave. And again, if you guys have any questions on certain materials you're trying to find an outlet for, you want to do more recycling, but you're not really sure where to start, all of us at CFLP are here to help. So just reach out to your county and we can figure out, brainstorm where you can reduce waste, where to take waste, or anything like that. I know that was kind of quick. I didn't know how much time we had left. You're on mute, Jenny.
Nope, you're good. We have like a minute left. So,
Okay, cool.
if, like she said, if anybody needs anything, has any questions, reach out to us. We're here to support you, to help you. And we'll go from there. So thank you everybody for, calling in today. Thanks Jake for your presentation and your information. It's very valuable to what we do and what our businesses do. So, everybody have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.